Well, good morning to everyone here in this pre-proposal meeting. My name is Joel Ocasio-Marcano. I am the Interim Deputy Director of the Procurement Division for the Community Development Block Grant, Disaster Recovery, and Mitigation Programs. In this pre-proposal meeting, we'll be explaining the process for the process CDBG-MIT-RFP-2022-01 request for proposal for the program management services related to the community energy and water resilience installation, homeowners and disaster recovery. This is under the housing program. I would like to introduce my team from Vivienda. Along with me is Saul Falcón Ortiz and Jose Colón Rivera, technical specialists from the Procurement Division. Also, Tamaris Alvarez Gutierrez from the Housing Division of the Grant Manager, and Ivana Harrington from the Federal Compliance of the Grant Manager. All questions submitted in this meeting will be answered in writing and will be published by addendum. Any information provided in this meeting does not change the terms and conditions established in the request for proposal instructions. All procurement processes shall be conducted in accordance with the terms and conditions established in the procurement manual for the CDBG-DR program to guarantee full and open competition and fair treatment of all persons or entities involved in each of these procurement processes. The procurement manual is available at our webpage and is incorporated by reference and made an integral part of this RFP. Nothing said in this pre-proposal meeting will change any of the terms of the RFP. Any amendments to the RFP will be made and have to be made in written and published by addendum. Now, I will leave you with Tamari Alvarez Gutierrez, who will explain the scope of services of this RFP. Tamari.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tamari Alvarez, and I'm part of the housing and energy sectors for the grant management team. We will be discussing the scope of work related to the PM or project management services. Throughout this presentation, we will go over the program description, the program's implementation, the workflow, program management roles, and the tasks. So like I was mentioning, there are different programs related to this RFP, and they are under two grants, the CDBG-MIT and the CDBG-DR. Under the CDBG-MIT and CDBG-DR, we have the Community Energy and Water Resilience Installations Program. And specifically under the MIT grant, we have sub-programs to that are the Home Energy and Water Resilience Installations and the Incentive sub-program. For those two, we refer them in a combination or we collectively refer to them as CEWRI-HH or the CEWRI-HH sub-programs, and that's the main focus here, while we do have a component for CDBG-DR. In terms of CDBG-DR, the CEWRI program is looking to provide funds for the installation of photovoltaic systems with battery backup for critical loads. These are specifically for single-family homes that have been repaired or reconstructed under the R3 program. In terms of CDBG-MIT and the CEWRI-HH sub-programs, the CEWRI-HERI sub-programs will provide funds for the installation of solar photovoltaic and or battery storage system for single-family homes. And in this case, it would award eligible applicants 100% of the cost of the systems up to $30,000, whichever is lowest. In terms of CEWRI incentives sub-program, it is the same, basically providing funding for installation of photovoltaic systems and or battery storage systems that own single family, as I said, and in this case, it would be 40% of the system cost up to $20,000. A particular item to note here is that the participants for the CEWRI HH sub-programs will result from an open application process. So in terms of program implementation, as was mentioned, the PRDOH will be implementing the program through the reservation of funds for the installation of the systems. One item that we want to note is that photovoltaic systems without battery storage are not eligible under this program since it is looking to increase resiliency. The system installation will be the responsibility of the applicant or the eligible participant and their selected approved renewable energy installation company. PRDOH will not be entering into agreements with renewable energy installation companies for this program. It would be on the applicant side. So PRDOH will enter into a reserve grant agreement with eligible applicants. And in that reserve grant agreement, the terms, conditions, obligations, and necessary support documents for applicants to receive the incentive under the program will be included. High-level program workflow. One important item to note is the management of this program through rounds. So there is an expectation to have quarterly rounds or every 3 months with a volume of approximately 2,500 to 3,500 applications per each round. It is important to note that the program manager must have sufficient staff to process the volume that is expected throughout the expected time frame. So for the processing of applications, once the round opens, eligibility and cost and the award determination is verified, the reservation of funds should be happening within 90 days. So from opening the round and the submission of the application by possible participants, they should be getting a notice of the reservation of funds within 90 days. After that, program participants will have a time frame of 12 months to install the systems with their selected renewable energy installation companies. And after the installation is completed, they would submit an incentive disbursement request. So at this time, the program manager would be verifying the disbursement request package, coordinating the monitoring site visit, and providing the incentive disbursement recommendation within 90 days of receiving the request from the participant, and then moving on to application closeout. Part of the staff that we have included in the scope of work, we have two categories. We have the key staff, which includes the program manager, the operations manager, and the complaints and reconsiderations coordinator, and additional staff that are for additional tasks is case managers, monitors, environmental specialists, historical and archaeological specialists. So the program manager will be the main point of contact between PRDOH and the selected proposer or proposers. They shall be available on call and able to assist the program in terms of all the status, progress, and general oversight. So this role shall be located in Puerto Rico, same as the operations manager. And in this case, the program manager must have a bachelor's degree and at least 5 years of experience in federally funded programs, management, or a related field. The operations manager will be responsible for the daily operations to oversee logistics, standards of performance, and procedures, and they shall also be located in Puerto Rico. In this case, they must be a licensed professional engineer or registered architect and specifically have knowledge in terms of photovoltaic systems and battery storage systems. They shall have at least 5 years of experience in program and project management. The complaints and reconsiderations coordinator will be the main point of contact and will be responsible for the coordination of any complaint received by the program, and they must ensure that they are all resolved in timely manner and that the resolution for every complaint is documented in the project record. A requirement here is excellent communication skills, and they must have at least 5 years of experience working with customer relations. Like I mentioned previously, additional staff includes case manager, monitors, environmental specialists, historical and archaeological specialists. Going a little bit into the task, the task 00 is program management and administration. There you can find a description in the scope of work related to operational support, program and project management coordination, document control, accounting, reporting, and other applicant relations and outreach support. Task 01 is now related to the renewable energy installation company enrollment. Like we previously mentioned, potential applicants will be able to select their own renewable energy installation company, but an approved renewable energy installation company list will be kept and maintained by PRDOH. So this is one of the roles where it is more described in the scope of work in terms of reviewing those evaluation and maintaining the enrollment list. Another task is the application intake for computer illiterate. And this is where the program manager will be helping computer illiterate applicants with the submission of their web-based applications. Task 3 is related to eligibility review and the incentive award determination. So here includes intake review, applicant eligibility, duplication of benefits review, and the determination or the indication of the reserve grant agreement and its execution. Task number 4 is related to environmental review. Task number 5 is related to system validation and monitoring. So in this case, we're looking at the incentive disbursement claim review. So when the system has been already installed, the applicant would be submitting their disbursement request, and it's that review of that package, the site visit, and doing the monitoring report to ensure that the system was installed and it is according to the grant agreement. In task number 6, the incentive disbursement and administrative closeout and other tasks that should be included in what you consider is the applicant relation and communications, the processing of reconsiderations submitted by participants, document control and management, and accounting of funds. Like it was previously mentioned, any questions, please submit them and they would be responded to in writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamari. Sorry for that. The RFP documents are available for download at the CDBG-DR website. Important dates for this RFP are the following. Submission of question and request for clarification on or before May 12, 2022. Response to question, May 19, 2022. Proposals due date, electronic submission only. From May 31, 2022 at 9 a.m. up to on or before June 2, 2022 at 4 p.m. All procurement documents pertaining to the procurement process, including addenda, issued by the PRDOH are and will be available for download in the website. All prospective proposers must monitor the website to retrieve addenda, if any, issued for this procurement process. Responses to the RFP submitted after the prescribed deadline will not be allowed. Submission of response to the RFP will only be accepted by electronic means. Proposers are advised that the PRDOH will neither require nor accept physical proposal submissions. If proposals are submitted in both electronic and in paper formats, the PRDOH will only consider the electronic format for the evaluation. The proposal will receive access to submit the electronic proposal after registration process is completed. At the scheduled due date for electronic proposal submission, a link button will be enabled to provide access to registration form. Proposal must be submitted within the closing date and time for proposal as established in section 4.3 in this RFP. Access to upload the electronic proposal will begin 3 days before the scheduled due date and time.
Good morning. Thank you, Saul. The evaluation committee will evaluate responsive proposals in accordance with the criteria listed below. The criteria below are listed in order of importance. Professional qualifications and experience of the proposer to successfully perform the services required in this RFP, as evidenced by the successful implementation of similar programs in large, complex public organizations, preferably state government and municipalities. Professional qualifications and specialized experience of the proposed key personnel, and as evidenced by relevant experience to the role proposed. Quality of the proposed approach and its relevance to the services described in this RFP, including implementation, schedule, and understanding of the PRDOH goals. Capacity of the key personnel and the ability to commit adequate time to effectively perform the services in the role assigned within the required time frame. Financial stability of the proposer and its capacity to effectively perform the services. It's important to the proposer and first-tier subcontractor must be registered in the system for award management SAM at the time of the proposal submission, or initiate the registration process right after the bid submission. For more information about the system for award management SAM, go to the SAM website. There is no registration fee to create or renew, update your organization information on SAM. Award will only be issued to entities that are clear and not ineligible for award of a contract due to suspension, debarment, or HUD imposed limited denial of participation. Now we have a presentation from the Senior Compliance Consultant, Ivana Harrington, for an introduction of federal requirements. Thank you, Ivana.
Good morning, claro que sí. Lisa, please comparte el screen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the space to present compliance and labor standards requirements. This presentation is prepared in English. However, should anyone need this presentation in Spanish, you can request using the protocols for this RFP. I am representing the Department of Housing Federal Compliance team led by Maria del Carmen Figueroa. Today we will discuss as part of our agenda an overview of compliance roles and responsibilities. We will also cover some tools that are available online. We will also talk about documenting efforts, taking advantage of training that's made available, and reporting requirements as well as frequently asked questions. In this presentation, we will be discussing Section 3 training, hiring, and contracting opportunities, minority and women-owned business participation, and fair housing and equal opportunity. Contractors or subrecipients using CDBG-DR or CDBG-MIT funding have certain roles and responsibilities. These include assigning staff who will attend the day-to-day implementation of federal compliance requirements, attending trainings and workshops, using tools and templates, executing the activities, and completing documentation that's required. You can also participate in Department of Housing sponsored technical assistance sessions. You must complete quarterly reporting and comply with the reporting requirements. Proposers seeking Section 3 bonus points should provide their self-certifications and sufficient evidence for how they qualify as a Section 3 business. The Department of Housing offers a template on their website. Proposers who are seeking MBE or WBE bonus points should provide a copy of their MWBE certification to provide evidence of this status. The certificates provided should show the dates and indicate that they are currently active. The procurement package contains sections that speak to the applicability and the requirements for MWBE. Within those sections, you will find helpful links to online resources that are made available, such as the policy guide. Procurement packages also contain language for Section 3 under 24 CFR 75. Although for this particular procurement, the contractor awarded will not need to comply with Section 3. However, you may find the information useful if you are seeking to prove Section 3 status to earn potential bonus points. The procurement package contains language that offers contractors the ability to seek bonus points. Please remember to use the references and the templates that are made available and that we will be discussing in this presentation. Let's talk about Section 3. Section 3 is a federal requirement from the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. This requirement states that we should provide to the greatest extent feasible job training, employment, contracting, and other economic opportunities generated by this HUD financial assistance to be directed to low and very low income persons and businesses. The Department of Housing makes available a Section 3 policy guide on their website, both in English and in Spanish. Contractors must read and implement activities as applicable and necessary. They also are responsible for their subcontractors assuring that benchmarks are met. For Section 3 projects, 24 CFR 75 has established the following benchmarks. 25% of the total labor hours for a project should be work hours of Section 3 workers. And from that 25%, 5% of the total labor hours should be work hours of targeted Section 3 workers. Let's talk about the definition of a Section 3 business. A Section 3 business refers to a business concern meeting at least one of the following criteria, which is documented within the last 6 months. The business is at least 51% owned and controlled by low or very low income persons. It could also be a business that has at least 51% ownership and controlled by a public housing resident or residents who currently live in Section 8 assisted housing. It could also be a business that has over 75% of the labor hours performed for that business over the prior 3-month period by Section 3 workers. In this slide, we're going to look at the definition of a Section 3 worker. A Section 3 worker can be any worker who fits or, when hired within the last 5 years, fit at least one of the following categories. The worker's income for the previous or annualized calendar year is below the income limit established by HUD. It could also be a worker who is employed by a Section 3 business concern. Or the worker is a youth build participant. Now let's talk about what a targeted Section 3 worker is. A Section 3 targeted worker for community development financial assistance projects is a person who is employed by a Section 3 business. It could also be a person who currently fits or when hired fit at least one of the following categories as documented within the past 5 years. Someone living within the service area or the neighborhood of the project as defined in 24 CFR 75.5, or a youth build participant. The neighborhood or service area for a targeted Section 3 worker is that in which you can find at least 5,000 persons within a 1-mile radius of the project. If there are less than 5,000 persons within that 1-mile radius, you can expand that radius until you have 5,000 persons around the Section 3 covered project site. Each year, HUD releases new income limits. These income limits typically come out around April. The latest income limits for 2022 are made available on the slide. The Department of Housing has created various forms for helping maintain compliance. There is a Section 3 plan that can be used by contractors or subrecipients. There are also Section 3 self-certification forms. And finally, there is a form to help you document your efforts. Let's take a closer look at your Section 3 plan. This document helps you identify new hiring needs, subcontracting needs. It helps you plan your outreach efforts and assists your coordinators in identifying the day-to-day activities. It helps you define compliant procedures, and it helps you understand your reporting requirements. You can use the link on the slide to visit the website and download a Section 3 plan template. In this slide, we want to focus on the Section 3 self-certification forms. These useful tools help you uncover if workers or subcontracting businesses meet the income thresholds required. HUD offers also a business registry. This registry allows you to register yourself as a Section 3 business. The registry also has a tool that helps serve folks looking for Section 3 business databases. We will now turn our attention to minority and women-owned business compliance. There are various regulations that call for the inclusion of minorities and women business enterprises. 2 CFR 200.321, as well as Executive Orders 11625, 12138, and 12432 establish the participation of MWBE firms, which seek to ensure that when possible, contracts and other economic opportunities funded in whole or in part with federal housing and community development assistance are directed to minority business enterprises and women business enterprises. The Department of Housing has established an MWBE policy guide. This is available on the website in both English and Spanish. You can access those documents using the link on the slide. Let's look at what a minority business enterprise is. An MBE is defined as a business which is at least 51% owned, operated, and controlled on a daily basis by one or more American citizens of the following ethnic minority and/or gender and/or military veteran classifications: African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, Native American, Hasidic Jew, persons with disabilities, and other individuals who can prove social and economic disadvantage. Women Business Enterprises, or WBEs, are businesses that are at least 51% owned and controlled by one or more women. The owners must be U.S. citizens or legal resident aliens, whose business formation and principal place of business are here in the U.S. or its territories, and whose management and daily operation is controlled by women. The MWBE Policy Guide will identify that there are goals which apply to professional services, purchasing supplies, and construction contracting. There is a total of 20% minimum participation goal. This 20% is comprised of 10% for women-owned businesses and 10% for minority-owned businesses. Contractors are expected to perform good faith efforts for contracting, subcontracting, and purchasing opportunities of $10,000 or more during the life of the contract. The Department of Housing has also created various forms for helping maintain compliance with MWBE. One of those is the MWBE Utilization Plan. This document template allows contractors or subrecipients to identify how they plan on being in compliance with these contracting goals. There is also a waiver form. This document allows contractors or subrecipients to identify if they meet the requirements to waive their goals for MWBE. Let's look at the MWBE Utilization Plan. This tool helps you compile data for your subcontracting. It helps you identify what needs you may have. It helps hold discussions on creating supplier and contractor listings, and it provides awareness of meeting the goal for the contract and tracking. You can use the link on the slide to go to the website and download the plan template. Let's review how you should complete your MWBE Utilization Plan. The Department of Housing Utilization Plan template can be used throughout the life cycle of your contract. Completing the plan is pretty easy. You should read the general instructions in row 3 and complete sections A, B, and F from the document. Complete the information requested in the yellow cells. When we talk about certified minority or women-owned businesses, we are referring to those who have filed applications with federal entities such as SBA and others that you see here on the slide. Businesses who are certified can provide proof of completing an application process to be officially recognized as a certified minority or women-owned business. If you are registered as an MWBE, you should provide your valid certificate or other evidence in response to this RFP. In this section, we will be discussing how to complete your efforts and quarterly reporting. In order for you to report your efforts, the Department of Housing provides a tool. This tool helps you document and identify how often you are seeking interactions with Section 3 businesses and MWBE businesses. The quarterly reporting form allows for you to share and report your data with the Department of Housing. This allows the agency to fulfill oversight responsibilities and monitor the progress throughout the year. The Department of Housing's quarterly reporting form allows for the user to capture multiple compliance areas all in one Excel form. Section 3 data is collected. MWBE data is collected as well. FHEO information is also documented within the report. And finally, for those who have construction projects, there is a report for Davis-Bacon Unfound Workers Efforts Reporting. Awarded contractors will be responsible for reporting 4 times a year, on April 5th, July 5th, October 5th, and January 5th. This ensures that you are meeting benchmarks and documenting your efforts. The quarterly reporting template is also available on the Department of Housing website. Let's briefly discuss FHEO. Your RFP package will also contain a model contract which outlines fair housing and equal opportunity areas of compliance. Contractors are responsible for ensuring compliance with federal civil rights and fair housing through their contractors, subcontractors, and so forth, ensuring that all necessary efforts are being made. The Fair Housing Act and Sections 109 and 504 prohibit discrimination against the following protected classes of people: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, age, familial status, disability, gender identity, and sexual orientation. The Fair Housing Act is part of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. There are many executive orders, laws, and statutes that govern the non-discrimination of protected classes to ensure equal opportunity for individuals in accessing federally funded programs. Equal opportunity is afforded to protected classes through a number of these federal laws and executive orders. The Department of Housing has published policy documents attending FHEO as well as Language Access Plan. These policies must be implemented by contractors and subrecipients. They are publicly available online in both English and Spanish. You are encouraged to click on the links and access the resources available. As a recipient of HUD financial assistance, the Department of Housing must ensure that all programs affirmatively further access to fair housing and that the programs provide equal opportunity for participation and employment. Reasonable accommodations are changes made to policies, practices, services, and structures, or modifications to afford equal opportunity to individuals with disabilities. The costs associated with providing reasonable accommodations and modifications are to be incurred by programs receiving federal funding. HUD contemplates these additional costs as necessary to ensure that the programs and activities it funds do not discriminate against people with disabilities. The slide contains a link for you to access the reasonable accommodation page on the Department of Housing website. Limited English proficiency refers to a person's limited ability to read, write, speak, or understand English. Due to Puerto Rico's high Spanish-speaking population, all entities and contractors using the CDBG-DR funding must seek to ensure that both a person's limited ability to read, write, speak, or understand English or Spanish will not place them at a disadvantage in the participation of programs. Let's briefly discuss some common, frequently asked questions. Can a business be both Section 3 and MWBE? The answer is yes. A business or a contractor can be both because these compliance areas are actually separate. Section 3 identifies the level of incomes to determine the status. MWBE uses race and gender information to qualify a business. If I am not planning on subcontracting, do I still need to complete documents? The answer is yes. You should still submit your MWBE utilization plan, the documentation of efforts template, and your quarterly reports. If Section 3 doesn't apply to my contract, do I still have to complete the quarterly report? The answer is yes. You will have to complete the MWBE portion of the report and the portion of the report that attends to FHEO. If I am either an MBE or WBE, do I fulfill the total goals? You may have safe harbor for one of the goals for MWBE participation of 10%, but you will still have an additional 10% goal to show good faith efforts for any subcontracting or purchasing you perform with the CDBG-DR and CDBG-MIT funding. What happens if I don't fulfill the goals before the end of my contract? All awarded contractors should perform and document their efforts. The Department of Housing has developed templates discussed in this presentation that help you complete the exercise. You can submit a waiver before the end of your contract for approval. This waiver request should be submitted with the efforts and justification as appropriate. Thank you for attending today's training. We hope you found the material helpful. Please remember to direct all your questions through the established protocols for this procurement. Thank you to the procurement team for allowing us to present this material. I will stop sharing the presentation so you can continue with the session.
Thank you, Ivana. Well, I think we have just reached the end of this meeting. We thank you all people present here and interested in our processes and in our acquisitions. As we have said, every question you have been writing here will be answered by and will be publishing. You have to be you have to check our website constantly because we may publish some documents, some addendums, and so you can reach all the updated information for the processes. This is all for today. Thank you. Thank you very much for attending and have a good day.